Boise State's an excellent team in every way, shape, and form. Obviously, they've had a tremendous season in both league play and in non-conference play. They're very well coached and have incredible talent. I mean, they're as deep a team as we've played all year. They're as versatile as a team that you're going to find in the entire country. I mean, they have a lot of skilled guys that really understand the game and know how to play, and they play for each other. And they just put a lot of pressure on you with the things that they run on the offensive end. And, you got guys that can play 1 through 5 on their team. They've really, I feel like, gotten a good boost here. Acott is playing fantastic. And obviously, he was eligible at the semester time. Derek Alston is a preseason player of the year at 6'9". And, he's always been a very good player. He's an excellent player last year. And I feel like he's taken his game to a different level. He looks very, he's really improved his body physically. He's just much thicker, playing within, shooting at such a high level for them. Kejab, I feel like, is one of the most improved players in the league. He had a tough thing coming in at semester time as well last year, but just looks really, really comfortable out there. Shaver's a guy that can really, really get it going. Obviously, was an elite scorer at Portland and is playing really well. Acott, obviously, he's played his last 3-4 games. Has been unbelievable. Dutrieve does so many things for them, playmaking-wise. RJ Dennis, Aggie fans know, and as Bronco fans know, what he can do. And we saw it firsthand last year, specifically up at their place. And then Armas his last 5 games, he's getting averaging double digits and over 5 offensive boards a game. And he's a physical enforcer type of guy. I know Coach Rice says he's the best defensive center he's had in quite some time. And it shows when you watch film. So, and Max Rice has had a heck of a season as well. So, I know it kind of went through most of their guys that are playing, but that's the type of things they can do. And then they're just really well coached, can do a lot of different things on the defensive end. They're the number 1 offense in the Mountain West in points scored and number 2 in field goal percentage at 47.5%. So we'll have our work cut out for us. We're excited to play. I'm so happy that, all of our guys that are testing have tested negative and their whole team has tested negative. So it's just exciting to play. We've had 1 game in 22 days. As of tomorrow, it really has felt like almost like training camp back in October again. And in a lot of ways, it feels like we're getting ready for our first game. It's been a year of inequity, and that's just how it's been. We've known that from day one. So we're excited for the opportunity to play a very good Boise State team. And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Coach Alex Vehar with the Salt Lake Tribune. Nice to see you again. Obviously, with a lot to talk about in terms of Boise and sort of the unintentional layoff, but I have to start here. Your AD, John Hartwell, about a week ago on a radio show mentioned that a little bit before the new year, he had signed you to a contract extension. So I wanted to know if you can speak on that.
Yeah, I don't remember when exactly it was, but yeah, it was, I think, in December or November when it got finalized or whatever. But obviously, we had been in talks for a while about some things, and I don't even remember the specifics offhand, but I believe it's after this year, it'll be 5 more years in terms of the contract. And we're excited about it. We love Utah State. It's been an amazing place for my family. Not to get too much into it, but my family and my wife and I, Darcy, have been married for 25 years. And we have 4 kids. My oldest boy, Landon, is a sophomore at Utah State. And we got Brady's a junior in high school. Carson's a 9th grader. My daughter's a 5th grader. So it's been a great move for our family. We love it here. It's a tremendous league. And we're surrounded by amazing people and have been in this profession for a long time, 25 years at every level, the NAI level, D2 level, and various levels of Division I, whether it's high major, mid major, and low major. And this has been just a phenomenal place to live and a great experience. And so we're sure excited to continue this journey at Utah State.
Hey, Coach Isaac Draxler of 24/7 Sports. Did you have any time that you couldn't practice, or has this whole time been kind of as normal practicing and everything?
No, we've been going the whole time. We've been practicing. Obviously, we've had some off days, but we've been going. We got back from Fresno, and we were off Sunday, and Monday we were in practice preparing for Wyoming. We thought everything was a go on Sunday from the info that I had, but again, things change and you got to adjust. We told the guys after, I think it was after practice on Monday, that we thought this was probably going to happen, and it did. So we've talked all year with our guy. Our guys it's a really tight knit group, even though we are very young. But our upperclassmen have done a good job. We have 2 seniors, 4 juniors, and those guys have done a good job of just staying level-headed. Never get too high, never get too low. We'd even talk, we had a good stretch there where we were getting our games in, right? I mean, obviously we had the shutdown in December, and, we had some guys miss a couple games in December. And I missed the BYU game and our non-D1 game. And we could have chose not to play, I suppose. I think we had that opportunity, but we wanted to play. And but we knew there was going to be these types of things. Our women missed 3 games in January. I think it was in January, one in December. And we just have told our guys all year, like, every day is a blessing and every opportunity to play, and never take it for granted, because you just don't know. And we found that out firsthand at Fresno and obviously last week. And so that's why I say, we told our guys in film today, when we got the word back that we all tested negative and Boise all tested negative, that we're going to be able to play unless some unforeseen circumstance happens for tomorrow's night's games. And then we'll all test again on what day? Thursday, and see what happens.
Coach, is there any chance of rescheduling any of these games that were lost, or those coming? You were at the end of the season, and then also have you started thinking about positioning for the NCAA tournament and what you have to do when the goal's set ahead? I mean, you went out, I guess that's the easiest way to get in, but have you thought about what it's going to take to get into the big dance?
So the first question with the rescheduling, I know there's talk about it right now within the league office. We don't know anything in terms of concrete, like, are we going to be able to reschedule Fresno? Are we going to be able to reschedule Wyoming? Obviously, the league built in those 10 days or whatever it might be for that ability to do that. I think, and so hopefully we can, but we don't know any specifics with that. I think we'll know a lot more next week. I think we'll know a lot more next week. But again, was it yesterday? I don't even remember, but I know obviously Nevada and Colorado State are not playing, are not to look ahead, but our last series is against Nevada. So there's just so many things that are unknown. I've really chosen, and I try to do this anyway in my life. I'm not going to waste time thinking about things that I have no control over, right? Because you just what do you end up doing? You waste a lot of time. And we got enough to worry about with our team, with the circumstances that we've had here in the last 3 weeks. I got enough things to worry about. So I just choose to lock into what I can try to somewhat control or influence. And that's help our team be the best that we can be. Because and then getting nightmares of watching Boise State play. So I got enough things to worry about. And then with the NCAA tournament, I've always taken the motto, if you're good enough, you'll get in. If you're not good enough, you're not going to get in. And that's just how it is. You can't sit there and we're our team, and I'm not going to, myself as a coach, I'm not going to try harder because we've lived on the bubble for 3 straight years. We've literally been on the bubble for 3 straight years. So what am I going to do? I like to think that we're going to try as hard as we can every game out. No matter who we're playing, let's be where our feet are at and be the best that we can be tonight. Let's be the best that we can be today in practice. Let's be the best that we can be tomorrow against Boise. And if we're good enough, then we're good enough. And if we're not, then we're not. And you can't control what VCU is doing or whatever other teams are out there. I literally have no control over that. So I don't waste any time looking at how did this team do tonight? How did that? It doesn't change how I approach the day. Let's be the best that we can be today. If we're good enough to make the NCAA tournament, we're good enough. If we're not, we're not. But I know we have a golden opportunity in front of us, and Boise State's got a golden opportunity in front of us. But anytime we can play a game, it's truly a golden opportunity to put your best foot forward.
Hey, Coach R.J. Salveson. Coach Leon Rice was very complimentary about your guys' bench and what they've been able to do for you guys. Can you talk about Boise State's bench and what stands out to you about them?
They're deep and they're really, really talented. I mean, you got a guy, Emmanuel Acott last I might confuse these. I think it was going into the second Nevada game. It might have been the first one, though, was shooting roughly 18 or 19% from the three. And now I got their stats right in front of me. And if you saw that, I don't remember if it was the first game or the second game, but he makes 3 threes in the first half. And he's coming off ball screens, firing like he's one of the best shooters in the country. I mean, and a lot of that is just getting used to, he hadn't played for a year and a half. And so, there was a game he played the 5. He was basically like their 5-man. And now last weekend he's playing a ton of point guard. And of course, he played at an AAU program in Utah with Exum Elite, fantastic program. And obviously, we've gotten to develop a great relationship with them. And Acott was at Arizona, and sometimes it's just not the right fit. And he found a great fit. And he's a high-level dude. I mean, he's a 5-star out of high school. And so there's a reason for that. And so now you look at his numbers. I mean, he's shooting 42% from the 3. I mean, I think that tells you a lot about him. And, I mean, he's such a good player. And Dutrieve, another Arizona transfer, who, again, missed some time just because of the timing of the transfer and your year out. And that guy's an elite athlete. He's a high-level basketball player. And another guy that shoots the 3. He has such a burst and a great feel with the ball. He can just make so many plays for so many different people. And then those guys have the versatility to guard. Acott can guard anybody on the floor, and Dutrieve can guard 1 through 3 without an issue. Max Rice, you can just see his improvement from last year to this year, and they just have so many guys. It's just hard to play everybody, you know what I mean? And every game's a different entity, but he's shooting it at a high level and hasn't shot it quite as well here the last couple of games, but obviously he's proven that he can do that. He's a high IQ guy, really understands the game, the way he plays, the old adage, like he's a coach's kid, and that's easy to see, on the floor from that respect. So, and then the Milner kid had a good weekend last weekend, right? They played big all weekend, and he played well. So they can just kind of, okay, your turn. And they have so much versatility to play. Like I said in the opening, they have so much versatility to play guys in so many different positions and play so many different lineups. And that's said it my whole life. That's what good teams have.
Thanks,
and
Coach.
they have it.
Coach Al here. I got to ask you about these. Every game's a different game. Every season's a different season. The last 2 years you've been at Boise for games. I mean, you win one where maybe you shouldn't have won, and then you should have won last year and you didn't win. Your thoughts on the last 2 years?
Well, I think both teams have been good the last 2 years, and 2 years ago I think we were down 5 with whatever it was, 30 seconds to go, and we found a way to get it to overtime, and we're fortunate to win. And last year they were able to do that. And so that's basketball. When you do this long enough, those things happen. I do think that game is what really helped, as disappointing as it was, the game at their place. I think that really helped us get our act together. Not that it was crazy bad, but I think we all had to really look internally to figure out what we're trying to do and sacrifice some things that maybe we weren't all in on doing in terms of our role definition and what we were trying to do. So, it seems like in my limited time here, I've only been here 2 years, but every game has come down to the wire. Our game at home came down to the last 2 minutes of the game. as well, or minute of the game, quite frankly. And so that's what happens when you have talented teams. Like I said earlier, they're very well coached. And so they're the type of team that doesn't beat itself. And so to beat them, you got to beat them.
Hey, Coach, BJ Rains with the Idaho Press newspaper up in Boise. I know Boise State was looking to move the games to a different arena to get some fans and stuff, and now they just announced this morning they're going to get 900 fans into Extra Mile Arena tomorrow night. What are your thoughts? It'll be their first game all year with fans, so you have to expect the 900 is going to sound like a packed house probably.
Yeah, I mean, I literally walked out of practice and came up here and did a Zoom right before, and obviously they'll be pumped. They'll be excited. It is, it's just so, when you watch film on last year's games and you see, when we were at Boise, it was a full house. It was a great atmosphere there. Certainly when we played Boise at our place last year, it was Wayne Estes night and we had the throwback uniforms, and it's just such a different world seeing that kind of environment. So, they'll be obviously, it'll be different, but I think exciting for everybody involved. And it will, I don't know what you said, how many people, but it'll feel like times 10 in terms of that atmosphere. So it'll be, it should be an exciting spirit and atmosphere.
I know you've had the 1,600 for your home games. Have you guys played any road games with fans yet?
No, because South Dakota was our non-conference, and I think a week before, 4 or 5 days before, they decided not to have fans, and then in our league we haven't experienced that. So it'll be different, but you know what? Every game, it's just everything about this is different. You walk in the Thomas and Mack Arena, and you have an 18,500 seat venue, an NBA venue, and there's literally not even 100 people in that arena. And that's just really just such a weird, different vibe. And so you've experienced it. Everybody on this call has experienced it. Our team has experienced it. I think the team that brings their own energy, in terms of on the bench and on the floor, has tended to have an advantage all year. And obviously you watch the bench of Boise State all year, and they brought great juice and great energy. It's easy to see on film. And I think our team has done the same for the most part all year as well.
Coach, can you give me a quick rundown on just the things that you feel like you have to do well in this game to win? I mean, transition seems like a huge thing against Boise State because they like to play fast if they can.
Yeah, twofold with that. They do a great job. They're so fast with the ball. Every one of those guys is a fast athlete, and obviously Armas is a big dude, but he's got good feet. He's got good feet east and west, and he's got good feet north and south. And he's got a high motor. So when you have a big that can run like that, and then all of their perimeter guys run, and I say perimeter including Kejab, who's like a 4-man, but like so to speak. But they are fast. They're athletic. They do a good job. It feels like when they turn teams over, they make you pay. It just feels like anytime they get a turnover, they're getting a dunk on the other end, or it's basically a catastrophic turnover, like a pick six. And so that'll be big. We got to, they're so good in transition. They have so many weapons. We got to handle the ball. I feel like the last couple games we've been much better at that. But that's an area we got to do a good job with, is handling their length and their athleticism and not allow our offense to be their best offense. And then we got to be able to, both teams, they're a good offensive rebounding team. They're a good rebounding team, period, as are we. So rebounding will be a big facet of the game. Of course, a big part of rebounding is how well you guard. So, when you guard, you got to be able to force them to miss some shots. They're going to make a lot of tough shots. And we've told our guys that there's going to be times we can test them perfectly and they're still going to make that play. But you just got to be able to bounce back and have the willpower to make the next play. And they have just so many weapons that way. So we got to eliminate them to one and done. And that's a hard thing to do, but we just got to be able to guard them the best that we can and understand when they have different lineups out there, what they're trying to accomplish on the floor, because because of their versatility, they just put you in a lot of difficult positions on the defensive end.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that this upcoming game against Boise is the first one in 22 days or, 3 weeks, essentially. How frustrating has it been not to be able to play games, and just kind of how do you envision mitigating the possible rust factor, because it's been so long since you guys have competed?
Well, it's certainly reality, and you just got to deal with it. We've tried to in practice change up the stimulus, do some different things while still working on some, tightening up, certain things on the offensive end, obviously defensively, tightening up some schemes that maybe we haven't worked on for a while or just need to be better at. We've told our guy, like, it's hard. It's easy. It's hard to stay sharp, but to stay sharp, you have to really be locked in mentally to what's going on in practice. When we played at Boise a year ago, we were 15-4, or we were 14-5, just like we are today. The difference is we were 3-3 in league play and not 11-2. And it's just bizarre that we played the same number of games, but obviously, twice as many conference games, more than twice as many conference games. But you're always trying to stay sharp and avoid rust. I'm sure we're going to show some rust, but that's just part of the deal. So we'll put our best foot forward and see what happens against these guys.
Hey, anything else for Coach?
Yeah, one last question, if I may. Coach, and I know that you like to say, you guys want to be the best team every day, and kind of you're not too much of a looking forward type of coach. But these games against Boise are huge. They've been at the top of the league for basically the entire season. And last, week or so, you guys have been back and forth with Boise, playing some games, winning some, losing some. How much more important and impactful are these two games in terms of possibly winning the whole league for you guys?
Well, obviously I think they're two very good teams. It's still one game. Like, it all counts. I mean, if we hadn't beaten San Diego State, in one of those games, we're not in this position. If we would have lost to New Mexico, we're not in this position. If we would have swept UNLV, we'd have more of a cushion. So they all count the same, obviously. And I know reporters and fans, and I know that's not a sexy thing to say, but it's the facts. And so, but it is these games, can have a lot of postseason ramifications, can mean a lot for winning the regular season title and seeding. But nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows how many more games we're even going to get in. So at the end of the day, like you said, Alex, and I know we're going to try to put our best foot forward, play our best game in game one against Boise. And if we get to play game two, hopefully we can do the same. So should be a great contest. It's two very good teams going at it. Both fan bases are going to be super excited to watch the games, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay, everybody, we'll wrap it up with that. Appreciate your